Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the July 16th board meeting for the McLeod County Board of Commissioners. Can we now stand for our Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome and good morning. We will begin with our consideration of agenda items. We do have one addition from our attorney's office. I'll call on Mr. Hench to explain that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am asking for an item to be added to the agenda, perhaps just before, or number 9, administration, or at that time, regarding the matter of Laura Vogelpol versus State of Minnesota Department of Services, McLeod County et al. This was on the last meeting. This would be for a litigation update. I'd ask that we have a session of a closed meeting and then come back on the agenda to discuss a possible review of a settlement that was recently tentatively reached. So I'd ask that that be ended today. Thank you.
Do we have any other additions or corrections?
No other changes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we'll be adding the business with the attorney's office prior to item number 9, assuming that we'll be coming back and conduct business on that.
Move agenda, Mr. Chair, with the addition.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Schmal, second by Kruger to approve today's agenda. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Move consent, Mr. Chair.
I can second that. We have a motion by Schmal, second by Wright to approve today's consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item of business will be calling on our Auditor Treasurer's Office.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Board. Item A is to consider approving the renewal of a memorandum agreement between McLeod County and the University of Minnesota, by which McLeod County provides local support for the University of Minnesota employment positions. We do have a presentation. Lori is here to present to us. I will go on with the explanation and have the presentation. So this is a 3-year agreement from January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2027. The positions included have not changed from the 2022 to 2024 agreement. The McLeod County Extension Committee approved the 2025 proposal as well as the 2025 through 2027 agreement. The agreements with all 87 counties do expire this year, so we're working on a new contract across the state, and the contract prices are going up significantly in 2025. Like all organizations, we are seeing significant increases in costs and need to make changes to attract and retain staff. This will be a one-time increase. In 2026, they would go back to the standard cost of living adjustment increase of 3% per year. And I'll have Lori come up.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here and for giving me some of your time today. Connie did such a good job, though. I think she pretty much said it all. I'll use a few more words and try to get this off the screen for you. And we are in the middle of the presentation here for some reason, so I'm going to go backwards a bit. Okay, so I'm here today to talk about our contract. I think most of you know that we have a 3-year contract with the county, and those contracts are expiring this year. That is true in all 87 counties. So we're doing this very same thing in all 87 counties, but it's a little bit more complicated here, and I'll talk about why. About the agreement, so the University of Minnesota partners with the Association of Minnesota Counties. I think many of you know there is an extension committee of that group. That is the committee that negotiates the prices for these contracts. So they're negotiated on a statewide level. And that was done a couple of months ago, and so here we are today to talk about that. There are some things Extension provides under that agreement, so you guys, in essence, are contracting for services, but those services equal people. So you know most of the people involved in the contract. I think some of our educators were here a couple of weeks ago talking to you about all the work that they're doing. But that composition of people is different in each county, so you guys get to decide what that looks like for McLeod County. Our budget is split a lot of different ways, but the biggest thing I think to note is that the university it's a partnership. About half of the pie is the university through our state and federal appropriations, and that pays for a lot of different things, but things like my salary, the leadership of the programs across the state, and then some other regional and statewide educators. Another big and growing piece of our pie is gifts and grants, and I think, as you guys know, that's something that in higher education has become increasingly important over the last couple of decades, so we do have a small staff in Extension that's what they do. A lot of those funds are earmarked for specific kinds of work, and usually regionally or statewide. And then the piece of the pie we're here to talk about today, though, is the county piece of the pie. So just under a quarter of our budget is county funding. And like I said, that is funding where the county is deciding, here is the work we want done in this county at the local level. The university, as you know, you're contracting for a service, so we're hiring the people to do that service and managing that performance and all the things that go with it. In return for that, the county is providing office space, administrative support. I think many of you might know Lauren, who is our administrative person. She is phenomenal in every way, so I thank you for that support. You guys provide equipment and computers and then access to technology so that we can do our work and help us make sure that our technology talks to your technology so that we can work back and forth between the organizations. There are a few new things in the agreement this year outside of just the money piece. We always, every year, listen to our county leaders and their wishes and make some changes to our contracts to address that. So there was some desire to have roles and responsibilities clarified, so we've done that for the Extension Committee as well as for the educators, so you'll see some attachments in the agreement that you have in your packet today, and that's what that's about. The other thing that we changed was the way we charge and pay interns. And the reason for this is quite simple. Like everything else in here, we're having a hard time attracting and retaining people. And we cannot function in the summer, especially our 4-H program and the county fair, without interns. We have full-time summer interns that help us get through that very, very busy time. But in recent years, we have had trouble attracting interns. The university has a very narrow definition of what is an intern. It has to be a current college student. So if I have a youth in the county who just graduated from high school, they may not fit within the definition of an intern. So we've had to do things like change that job classification to a coordinator or another kind of temp casual. And every time I did that, I would have to go before the board and say, do I have your approval? It doesn't cost you any more or less. We make sure the cost is neutral. So to get away from that, we've broadened this category, and we're saying, here's the flat rate. The rate in our contract is based on interns, so it's based on a 40-hour per week intern all summer long. We try first to hire those interns, but if we can't, we have the flexibility to hire differently in order to fill that position because we need it. So you won't see me coming before you asking for that simple thing each year. So this is really the bulk of why we're here today, because our prices are going up, and there are a few different reasons for that. So I will talk a little bit about what's all included in that price, but it is not just the salary. It's everything else that goes with that. And as you know, we just can't, like you guys, attract and retain people. We have never done this in the time I've been here, and I think well before. We typically, our contracts go up by a cost of living increase every year, so it's been somewhere between 2 and 2.5%, which just hasn't kept up. At the same time, we've seen drastic rises in fringe benefit rates, things like healthcare, and we also gave a market adjustment during the last contract cycle to try to keep people, but couldn't pass that on to the counties because we were under contract and had a contract price. So we're doing a little bit of a catch-up. We also are still having just a very difficult time attracting and retaining people, so we are doing a classification study like many counties have been doing. And then this contract is allowing us flexibility to make sure we can make good on that when that classification study is done. So the new price for educators is a $100,000 flat rate. Administrative support, you don't have to worry about. In some counties, the administrative support is a university employee. In your case, it's a county employee, and we do prefer it that way. So that doesn't impact you, and I already kind of explained the interns. The other thing to note is that, like Connie said, it's a 1-year increase. Then we go back for the next 2 years of the contract to a 3% COLA increase. The contracts across the state are all 3 years. Like I said, it doesn't equal salary. The biggest thing that it does include is that fringe benefit, so it's the health care, it's the retirement. But we also handle all the travel and the mileage for educators, which mileage is quite significant, and the professional development. So those things are all wrapped into that one package price. And like I said, the bottom line is it's increasing because we need to do something in order to attract and retain talent. We are hiring young educators and keeping them for a year or two and finding that big agriculture is cold calling them and plucking them away from us for a lot more than what we're offering. And while we may not be able to get quite there, we offer a lot of other things with the university that I think would make our package competitive. But we know when people leave, we do exit interviews, and by far and away, the reason they tell us they're leaving is because we just don't pay enough. So we're trying, and we just need your help to do that. This slide I really don't think I have to talk much about because the educators were just here talking about all the good work they do. You guys have a robust program here. And I know that they're here before you at least once a year talking about the work that they do. From my perspective, I will say I am tremendously proud of the partnership that you guys have with Meeker and Wright County. I came before you a few years ago and we talked about that things were going really well, but I asked for some latitude to try something different anyway because we thought it could be even better, and I think that the partnership we have today has proven to be that. By sharing educators with the 2 other counties, instead of having one educator that has to know everything about everything, you have experts. So you have a crops expert, a livestock expert, and a horticulture expert. For roughly the same amount of money, you guys fund the partnership at 1/3, so it's 0.33 of each of the 3 educators that you have. So I believe that is very impactful and a benefit to all 3 counties. I think those of you who know us well would agree. But when it comes to a day like this, it becomes more complicated because anything one county decides impacts the others. And so I've tried to really get ahead of this contract cycle this year, to be doing this early. The contract goes through the end of the year, but we need to make sure that before budgets are set, everybody's in agreement on what they're going to do, because otherwise I end up with fractions of positions across 3 counties. So the budget that we put forward this year, line items, all of the line items stay almost exactly as they were. One is changing minimally just for a software thing. It's not something you guys would even care to really bother with. Every other line item staying exactly the same except for this one. And you know, part of the reason we did that is because we knew that this was going to go up quite significantly. So I will talk real quick just about your county. For this year, right now, your contract includes the 3 educators, the 1 full-time 4-H leader, and you have 2 interns. One is full-time, and that one is for 4-H. The other she's full-time, or he, but you share that position with Meeker County, so only pay for half of it. So that's the positions that are under the contract, and you'll see that the contract is actually in your packet, I believe, with all of its attachments. All of that for this year costs you $180,161. That is the contract price for 2024. The exact same number of staff for 2025 moves to $215,245. The difference for this county is $35,084. So that is the difference, and I know you guys are dealing with big budgets and a lot of money, but for us that's a big increase and one like we've never asked for before, so we felt it was important to come and talk about it today. I think the biggest thing that we're asking for is your support. The contract, like I said, is in your packet. Meeker County signed their contract last week. I met with them. Next week I'll be in Wright County talking to them, and so the goal is to make sure that all 3 counties are in agreement because, like I said, it's a partnership and there's positions involved. So with that, you have any questions for me?
Any questions, board?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
87 counties, I mean, and you just told us what our needs were, tri-county or single, but is everyone different other than in that? I mean, do their increase go up by needs, or is it in that pie, is it just that, still stay that one place?
The increase is the same for every county.
Okay.
So no matter what you have, what makes that different is that each county has different positions. So what Hennepin County have, they might have 5 people running their 4-H program. So the composition of people is different, but the increase per position is exactly the same across the state.
Anything? I know for myself, after seeing the presentation, I think we do know that it does take an investment in order to maintain good talent. But it's after our last board meeting when we had Karen and Taylor and Emily here talking about the program and the impact locally and how they serve our constituents. I think that itself shows the value in the program. And yeah, it does take an investment, but I want to make sure that we do have those resources here in McLeod County as strong as it is today and going into the future. So I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A motion by Wright, second by Kruger to approve the renewal of the memorandum of agreement between McLeod County and the University of Minnesota. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, gentlemen.
before, I didn't get the difference. I wasn't able to, and
Oh.
it's probably in the packet, but I wanted to have that pulled up right now.
The dollar amount is $35,084. That's the difference. So that's the impact. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Yep. And like I said, we promise you it's 3% for the next 2 years. I probably won't be here talking about that.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And Lori, thanks for coming today and presenting. I heard this presentation at our AMC district meeting last month, so I was aware of the ask, which, and I understand the need, supportive of the need. I thought about, who does this all affect? It affects every citizen in our county. You can call Extension, you can ask about a tree, whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a parcel owner. If you're a farmer, you can call in and ask questions about crops, livestock. So I looked at the effect of the whole program and the positive points that it brings McLeod County. So with that, I'll say I'm supportive of the ask and appreciate what you do, Lori. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for having me.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you for coming today. Next item.
Thank you, Lori. So next, items B and C actually both revolve around our Tyler Technology contract. So item B, consider approving to $37,954 from the Recorder's Compliance Fund for the participation agreement between McLeod County and Tyler Technologies, Inc., including funding for the optional payment processing hardware and software. So back in June of 2021, the county board approved a software as a service agreement with Tyler Technologies for the purchase of IAS World, which is our Canton tax and also cash sharing software, with funding up to $400,000 from the Recorder's Compliance Fund. As an update, McLeod County did not purchase the $4,000 cash sharing module. We made things work within the software without that. To date, McLeod County has invested $362,045.93 in the project, and there remains still that $37,954.07 in the Recorder's Compliance Fund for us for use. The agreement as provided was a standalone agreement between McLeod County and Tyler Technologies, Inc. So since then, now in June of 2024, Minnesota County's Computer Cooperative, or MNCCC as we refer to it, did approve update pricing of the Tyler Technologies, Inc. participation agreement for use by its members. So signing along with the consortium would present McLeod County the benefits of a smart file module, which includes 3 no-cost automated documents, software updates for legislative purposes, and an optional payment processing. There will be an updated cost to the annual SAS agreement in the amount of $17,966, which going forward in 2025 would be covered within the IT budget. Conversion costs, though, to the new participation agreement total approximately $33,015, which do include prorated SAS fee for 2024, the initial smart file module, Tyler travel fees because they will need to come on site to perform this, and then the payment processing for 3 workstations. And then also, if this participation agreement is approved, the original contract as signed in 2021 would require a separation agreement between the county and Tyler. Let's wait for item C then.
Okay. All right, so we'll cover just the item covered at B first. Are there any questions or concerns on the transfer from the recorder's fund of the $37,954?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion by Kruger. Is there a second? We have a motion by Kruger, second by Nagel, to consider approving up to $37,954 from the Recorder Compliance Fund to participate between McLeod County and Tyler Technologies. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C.
And then item C, so as stated in the previous item, the original agreement signed in 2021 requires a separation agreement between the county and Tyler. Since now this has been approved and we couldn't work on that agreement until this one was approved. So item C is consider authorizing myself to sign the separation letter on behalf of the county to close out the current agreement with Tyler Technologies, Inc.
Go ahead.
That's confusing for me. I mean, because all we're doing is that particular, let's call it a contract, we're separating that contract and instead, is what we're doing.
Exactly. And you actually already approved the use of these funds with the initial contract,
Right.
but to be in full transparency, we're now going to put them forth for this.
It's just processing is a little slow. With that, I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Kruger, second by Schmaltz, to consider authorizing auditor treasurer to sign the separation letter on behalf of the county to close out the current agreement with Tyler Technologies. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a good day. Sheriff's Office, Mr. Ward.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here to consider approving out-of-state travel for Sergeant Darrell Kateria to attend police response to active shooter instructor certification in Clare, Wisconsin. Our cost is $712 with funds from the Sheriff's Office. This is a 32-hour course on September 9, 2024 through September 12, 2024. This is the only class offered in the surrounding area in 2024. It is approximately 2 hours travel time to Eau Claire. The same class is being offered in Crookston, Minnesota in June 2025. Crookston is approximately 4 hours of travel time. Process for registration fee, lodging, and meals.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Just an comment, why are you only sending one? I mean, in today's world, and that question just popped in my mind, but
Sure.
it seems like a reasonable fee, but.
We actually do like multi-agency training, so there's other PDs within the county that also have instructors, Glenn, Hutchinson, so the 3 instructors work together to provide training throughout the county for all the agencies involved.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion by Kruger, second by Nagel, to consider approving out-of-state travel to attend a active shooter instructor certification program. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be employee relations. Hannah. Morning.
I have 2 items today. The first item is to consider approving the McLeod County Personnel Policy Edition, which is entitled Shift Differential and Holiday Pay. This additional language will only affect employees who are working less than an average of 14 hours a week. And what that means is that that employee is a non-union employee. Also, it only will affect those employees who would have a reason to be scheduled in the evening, working a weekend or a holiday, and will help supporting with staffing. This mainly impacts our law enforcement units. We have some folks that work very rarely, but it will really help with when we're looking to staff people, especially on those evenings, weekends, and holidays, to offer both a shift differential and holiday pay.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
So we talked about this in length at our union negotiations during our last contract, and I would say that we probably weren't really thoughtful or aware of that it wasn't happening and why. We discussed it with the union agent and the steward, correct, Hannah, last negotiations, and I believe that this is common. It's not something that wouldn't be done in most counties or cities, and we're hoping to support it. Thank you.
Go ahead.
The only I have is can I get an example of where shift differential comes into play?
So if we had, it was currently a non-union member who worked a weekend, worked a Saturday shift, they would just be getting their shift pay. A shift differential offers $1.33 extra an hour for within that a different pay for working evenings out of regular, I guess, normal traditional hours and weekends.
So weekends and nights, the shift differential.
I'd have to pull the contract. I believe it's Friday evening at 6 p.m. until Monday morning at 6 a.m. Is that accurate?
I believe so. And so what we potentially did here was not do that specific language. This will read whatever full-time employees are receiving, and that will not, we will not be dictating that. That will be reflective of our staff that are in those full-time roles who are receiving that shift differential or holiday pay.
Essentially what it does is encourages people to want to work for us part-time, filling in, like let's say that you have someone leaving for a different career, but they still want to work in communications and we have room for them, then they would still be able to receive that hourly rate that makes sense. And it's not a detriment to the county to pay somebody who's not full-time the same hourly rate that they could get if they were working full-time. It's just actually a sensible thing that was probably overlooked. I think we've changed some of our practices over the past few years in regards to part-time versus full-time employees, and we want that to be more even. The full-time employees and yourselves all need the part-time employees to support the staff so that we can have people taking vacations or taking medical leaves, whatever it may be, and that this supports that.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Again, call me slow, but explain to me, I get shift differential and I have nothing against that to attract somebody to work on some of the odder shifts, but I mean, if you're hired for a position that isn't your common 8 to 5, you're already getting a dip pay, correct?
You're getting that pay, Commissioner Kruger, if you are within the union. That language is specified in the union, and to be in the union, you need to work over an average of 14 hours every week throughout the year. And so we have it's a very small number of employees, but we do have a number of non-union employees who are not working, they're working very few hours, but they're very helpful for filling in those shifts, just like Administrator Murphy shared. And so these are those that are not included in that union and are not receiving a shift differential or holiday pay at this time.
So that's the number of employees, or just, with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schmaltz to consider approving the McLeod County Personnel, the addition of the shift differential and holiday pay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Item B is considering approving the request to offer a temporary stipend to one of our Health and Human Services employees who's covering out-of-job duties while a staff member is on temporary leave. I didn't specify this, but this would be a $75 per pay period temporary stipend.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
could you define temporarily a little better, or?
Right now, we don't have defined data when the duties will be back to the person. Usually, the person's on kind of an extended family leave right now, but I would assume this would be before the end of the.
Did you want to put in data on it? I suppose it's possible.
If you'd like me to do that, then I can obviously bring it back to the board if there's a need to extend it. But we could, if you'd like us to.
I think that in the past, we've typically put an ending date on it. So do you have an idea of what an ending date could possibly be or not right now?
I don't have a specific date, but we can definitely put, if we'd like to do whatever the board would like, and then if it for some reason needs to go beyond that, we can extend it.
They don't know the date.
Let's
Someone's leave though.
let's just are we comfortable doing it through the end of 2024?
That'd be a good, I think that's at least a time, so that we know that it can come back for review if it continues.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
with that, I know the pros and cons to a lot of this and what are our options to a lot of the things, so, I'll take it for the word of it's out of their regular job duties, the stipend is $75, so and it sunsets, December 31st of 2024. That'd be the motion.
Okay, we do have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Kruger, second by Schmaltz to consider request for the sunset date of December 31st, 2024. Is there any further discussion?
Just a clarification, $75 per pay period.
Yep, so we'll clarify that from the motion, $75 per pay period. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Public Works.
Morning.
Please consider approving the purchase of new UW56 Bobcat Toolcat and farm right equipment of Dassel, Minnesota at an estimated state contract price of $6,500 after trade value is with funds in the fairgrounds budget. This purchase places a 2018 5600 Toolcat with over 2,600 hours on it. This Toolcat's showing age and has been in the shop quite a bit over the last year. This is our most utilized piece of equipment in our public works fleet. Due to its versatility, it's used every day at the fairgrounds and the parks. And we're just running into reliability issues with it at this point. A lot of very minor repairs that need to happen on it, and some major coming up.
So are you sending the other one, the old one down the road then?
Yes, the other one will be traded in on this one.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Nagel. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Kruger, motion by Nagel, second by Kruger to approve the purchase of a new Bobcat Toolcat from Farm Ready Equipment for the price of
mowing our road ditches.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
is there, how many mowers do you have?
I believe we have 5 mowers.
And is there any efficiency to having the same brand or no?
So the Coons and the John Deeres are essentially the same mower with a different fabric on them.
Okay.
So they're very similar. Getting rid of the new haul kind of make sure that we have all the same parts and everything for them.
Okay. That answers my question, so. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Kruger and a second by Schmaltz to approve the purchase of a 2024 Kuhn 8-foot rotary disc mower from Arnold's at a cost of $8,250. Any further discussion?
I do have one
Yep.
in discussion, they hold a fairly good, I mean, for what I noticed, disc mowers are, in demand. They hold a fairly good resale, or because of just the way the hours and miles they put on them, don't we get much, how are we?
We're actually starting to get better value out of it as our fleet's been updating. We're getting to the point now where we're just about where we can go down one more mower. Only carry 1 spare or 2 spares, which we'll be doing next couple of years, just because we've kept up on the maintenance and kept up on the replacement schedule on these. They don't get the greatest resale value with the amount of use we give them.
Unless you want to buy one.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. Any further discussion? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be information technology. Matt Troska.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're here to consider approval of statement of work from Cyberforce Q of Plymouth, Michigan for the purchase and implementation of a security information and event management or SIEM solution from the Minnesota County Computers Cooperative contract price of $46,935.29 with funds from the information technology budget. The SIM solution this SIM solution will allow us to centrally collect and retain security logs that are generated by various computer and network systems, generate alerts, create reports, and make logs searchable, making it easier to find specific items when looking. Logging is required as part of the criminal justice systems security policy, as is reviewing those logs on a weekly basis. This SIM solution will allow us to meet the requirements as well as other logging requirements, and we did review this at the last workshop meeting as well.
Questions, anyone? Questions or a motion? Okay. We have a motion by Nagel. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Nagel and a second by Kruger to consider approval of the statement of work for the purchase and implementation at a contract price of $46,935.29 with funds from the information technology budget. Any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Matt, I think you had us a little bit stunned as to exactly what's all going on there, so I'm glad that you have a handle on all the details of that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt.
Our next item will be our added item. We will be going into a closed meeting. This closed meeting is per state statute 15D.05 Division 3B under attorney-client privilege to discuss the Laura Vogopol versus McLeod County Health and Human Services. We will need a motion to go into a closed meeting.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? I can second that. We have a motion by Crew, second by Wright to go into our closed meeting. Any discussion on that? Then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have a minute to clear the room. We'll proceed to the. It's assumed that we'll have a business session after this.